What's the difference between a wine that's lean and one that's thin? Why is asking for a smooth wine one of the least helpful ways you can describe what you actually want to a sommelier? And what's the fastest way to learn more about wine without feeling intimidated? In today's episode, you'll hear the stories and tips that answer those questions in part 2 of our chat with Maryse Chevriere, author of the terrific new book, How to Sound Wine Smart. If you missed episode 1 from last week, go back and take a listen after you finish this one. By the end of our conversation, you'll also discover why swirling changes the personality of some wines, how to use personal memories when describing wine, why wine professionals are so obsessed with high-acid wines, when Brettanomyces adds character to wine versus when it becomes a flaw, whether decanting champagne can actually improve it, why lifelong Chardonnay skeptics should give the grape another chance, when pairing red wine with fish actually works, and why you should drink outside your comfort zone rather than stick to familiar grapes. Do you have a thirst to learn about wine? Do you love stories about wonderfully obsessive people, hauntingly beautiful places, and amusingly awkward social situations? Well, that's the blend here on the Unreserved Wine Talk podcast. I'm your host, Natalie McLean, and each week I share with you unfiltered conversations with celebrities in the wine world, as well as confessions from my own tipsy journey as I write my third book on this subject. I'm so glad you're here. Now pass me that bottle, please, and let's get started. Welcome to episode 404. So 404 always makes me think of the HTTP code for file not found on the internet. I go right back to my days at the supercomputer company. But I hope you will find what you're looking for in this episode. So what's new in the drinks world? This week in Fur, Feathers, and Fermentation, we're celebrating fruit flies, the romance rejection drinkers. A fascinating study published in the journal Science revealed that male fruit flies cope with romantic rejection by turning to the bottle. When researchers paired male flies with females that had already mated and consistently spurned their advances, a drop in a specific brain signaling molecule called neuropeptide F drove the rejected males to actively choose alcohol-spiked food over normal food 70% of the time. I don't blame the little buggers. Effectively, the fruit flies use ethanol to stimulate the brain's reward pathways as a chemical substitute for the euphoria of a successful courtship. Meanwhile, during the height of American Prohibition in 1926, the United States federal government resorted to a lethal enforcement strategy to stop citizens from drinking illegal liquor. Authorities ordered industrial alcohol manufacturers to mix dangerous toxins like formaldehyde, chloroform, and methyl alcohol into their products to prevent bootleggers from stealing them for bootleg cocktails. The extreme policy resulted in widespread illnesses, proving that the war on alcohol was a deadly serious matter. And for your weird but wonderful scientific fact this week, you don't just feel carbonation, you actually taste it. The fizz in sparkling drinks isn't merely bubbles tickling your tongue. Research has found that an enzyme called carbonic helps convert carbon dioxide into a signal detected by sour-sensing taste cells. Your tongue has dedicated chemistry for knowing that somebody brought the bubbly. And for your calendar this week, August 26th is National Cherry Popsicle Day and Make Your Own Luck Day. Cherry Popsicle Day celebrates one of summer's simplest frozen treats. The twin stick popsicle became popular during the Great Depression because one frozen treat could be split between two children. Aww. Make Your Own Luck Day encourages small, deliberate actions that may shift things in your favor, such as taking a new route, making a useful introduction, or finally tackling that task you've been avoiding, including drinking that Chardonnay that's been sitting too long in your fridge. August 27th is National Pots de Crème Day, Banana Lovers Day, and Just Because Day. Pots de crème are French baked custards traditionally served in small lidded porcelain cups. Bananas are botanically classified as berries while strawberries aren't. What? Because botany enjoys correcting the fruit bowl and feeling superior, just because day encourages spontaneous acts of generosity or pleasure without needing an occasion. August 28th is National Red Wine Day and National Cherry Turnover Day. National Red Wine Day celebrates the long history and range of red grape varieties just before the Northern Hemisphere's main autumn harvest. Red wine gets most of its color from contact with grape skins rather than from the juice itself. Cherry turnovers are folded pastries filled with fruit, giving them an impressive filling-to-effort ratio. August 29th is More Herbs Day, Less Salt Day, National Chop Suey Day, and According to Hoyle Day. More Herbs, Less Salt Day encourages cooks to use fresh herbs, spices, and citrus to build flavor. And I'd add in there alcohol, too. Herbs also work well in cocktails because aroma contributes much of what we perceive as taste. Chop suey became a familiar North American Chinese restaurant dish in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, although its exact origin date remains debated. According to Hoyle Day, honors Edmund Hoyle, whose 18th century books codified the rules of card games such as whist and helped make his name shorthand for playing by the rules. Don't know what that has to do with drinks at all, but maybe you're enjoying a cocktail with a good game of whist. That sounds so British and 1800s. Anywho, August 30th is National Toasted Marshmallow Day, National Mai Tai Day, and Frankenstein Day. Marshmallows, which I always pronounce as marshmallows, but they're marshmallows, were originally made using the sap from the marshmallow plant, although modern versions rely on gelatin. The Mai Tai was created in 1944 at Trader Vic's restaurant in Oakland, California. A Tahitian guest reportedly praised it with the phrase that it inspired its name, meaning out of this world. Frankenstein Day honors Mary Shelley and her 1818 novel Frankenstein, often described as an early work of science fiction because it examines creation, experimentation, and responsibility. And again, it's a far reach with drinks, but I'd pair it with, a cocktail of your own mad mind creation. August 31st is National Trail Mix Day and Eat Outside Day. Trail mix combines nuts, dried fruit, and other portable ingredients designed for eating on the move. Eat Outside Day recalls the long tradition of communal outdoor meals, including European harvest gatherings where field workers ate together over the open sky, and my favorite, the long table beside the vineyard rows where people pass dishes and the wind flutters through and gives everything a magical feeling. And September 1st is National Cherry Popover Day. Cherry popovers rise because the steam inflates their egg-rich batter rather than yeast. Back to today's episode, 3 of you will win a copy of Maryse's wonderful new book, How to Sound Wine Smart. If you'd like to win a copy, please email me and let me know you'd like to win. It doesn't matter where you live. I'll choose 3 winners randomly from those who contact me at natalie@nataliemclean.com. Keep them for yourself or give them as gifts. And if you're reading the paperback or ebook or listening to the audiobook of my memoir, Wine Witch on Fire, Rising from the Ashes of Divorce, Defamation, and Drinking Too Much, a national bestseller and one of Amazon's best books of the year, I'd love to hear from you at natalie@nataliemclean.com. There's also a terrific free guide for book clubs. I'll put a link in the show notes to all retailers worldwide at nataliemclean.com/404. Okay, on with the show. Now, you write that swirling wine is like waking up a genie in a bottle, which is, I love that. Maybe tell us about a wine that was a totally different animal, pre and post swirling.
I think any wines that are especially like productive or a little volatile, it helps to swirl to blow some of that stuff off. I remember older wines too. We had a wine at Christmas. I had a birth year vintage that I waited too long on, but it was like super closed initially, and over time, thankfully, was able to open up a little bit more and actually showed its personality a bit, which was nice.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, you give readers permission to use highly personal taste references when describing aromas. I know personally, I often use Band-Aids, and I know it's not unique. I've heard it used before,
Yeah.
but people who know me go, Band-Aids.
Yeah.
But anyway, but what's your reference of your own that maybe others find weird or is unique to you?
The one I tend to use that it makes sense to me that doesn't make sense to other people is sticky. When I get
Okay.
a smell that's like a yeasty kind of smell, that like doughy, just like fermenting, something about
Ah,
that smell makes me think of stickiness. But I don't know that I
sticky.
would
Yeah.
say that and then somebody would fully understand where I was trying to go with it. But when I have a champagne, like a really like, yeasty kind of champagne, that's usually one of the first words on my tasting sheet.
Nice and sticky. Good champagne. I like that. Mine comes from hospital rooms or hospital halls, like Band-Aids. It's usually, I think, Bordeaux wood or something is going on
Yeah,
there. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
quite sure what it is. Now, pyrazine is the compound responsible for the green bell pepper notes in Cabernet Franc. How do you illustrate that? Was it just big green peppers?
So I like to have, as much as possible, just this is the way my brain works, like pop culture references. So I have, for example,
Oh,
like
yeah.
drawings that maybe drawing that references Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, things like that, James and the Giant Peach in the book. And so for this one, when I heard green, the first thing I thought of was It Isn't Easy Being Green, which is a Kermit the Frog reference. But I, for copyright purposes, could not draw Kermit the Frog. So I have a bunch of the different kind of green flavors you can find in wines that have pyrazine or have really prominent pyrazines, and a Kermit-like frog at the top saying like a silly little quote.
Kermit-like. Okay. And garrigue, which I love as a word, but always felt very vague and intimidating, but it's that, at least the way I interpret it, that smoky, peppery, wild Mediterranean herb aroma like thyme and rosemary and that sort of thing. It really makes sense if you've stood on those hills or just smelled herbs in a supermarket. How did you illustrate that?
It's one of my favorite drawings in the book, actually, because, like I was saying before, the drawings are mostly very stark and very simple, very white. And for this one, I basically can show you. Actually, I have the page. It's this. It's super immersive. So it's my little guy just in a
Ah,
field. That kind of feeling that you're completely
ah,
surrounded by those herbs, that you're out in nature. And I just like that it's a full page and a bit of departure from the style.
love it. Very creative. Now, you quote a wine described as riding in a giant seashell along a hot sandy beach next to water of stone fruit and tropical music. My goodness, what grape was that, by the
That
way?
was a Viognier that person was describing, which
Wow.
surprised me too. The tropical stone fruit I can see, but the sea beach aspect would make me
Yeah,
think more like Albariño, maybe even
sure.
Chablis, potentially, if you're only thinking about the seashellness. But yeah, so it was one of those wild ones that I was seeking out.
I love that. The more we stretch our imagination in different ways through words and illustrations, I think the more capacity we have to name what we're thinking, what we're smelling, what we're tasting,
Absolutely.
what we're feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You release that with this book. You confess an affection for lanolin, which I love too, that wax and wet wool note in Loire Chenin Blanc. When did you first encounter that wine or smell?
We had a wine on the list, a terroir that was a Domenim one, Russian one, Chenin, and they're known for librarying their wine. So it was an older vintage, probably it's not like a 90s vintage Chenin, and it just had that smell. And it was one of those things, again, being newer to wine at the time, where it just didn't think about those kinds of things existing in wine and how cool that a grape can make that smell.
Sure.
And yeah, I love savory flavors. I always think are just some of the most fun ones to discover in wine.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you write that wine pros tend to be shameless acid junkies, praying at the altar of it. What does that mean? For people who are not familiar with acid junkies,
That wine professionals unanimously just love high acid wines. I think part of that has
like what would be an example? Like the Riesling?
Riesling is a great example, Chenin is a great example, Pinot Noir,
Okay.
Nebbiolo. I think They're wines that are great to pair with food. So I think that's probably something that's easy to gravitate towards. And also, acidity is really refreshing, right? So if you're drinking a lot, as you do in this job, it's nice to have something that doesn't feel like it's just like heavy and weighing on your
Drying you
palate.
up,
Yeah, you want
or
something you can
heavy.
just drink a lot of.
Yeah, it's almost the opposite of astringency from tannin. It's like it makes your mouth water.
Exactly.
So that's why it's food friendly too.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
cool. Acid, yeah. Now you compare laser-like acidity to Luke Skywalker's lightsaber coming to life. So laser-like acidity, how do you differentiate that? Or are you just getting poetic? Laser-like acidity versus scattered acidity? Or I know I'm like really picking
No,
here, but
I
I
mean-
just wonder because I hear it all the time, laser-like
Yeah,
acidity.
I think it's become a popular word just because it does give you that easy visual. But I think wines that have that intense acidity do feel like they're just cutting down your palate. It's just like a flash across your tongue. And so I think it's a great word to help people understand that. Plus, I think it sounds cool.
It does, and the lightsaber's perfect metaphor for it. Now, you also have punchy acidity in your book, and you is, quote, Mike Tyson in your mouth, uppercutting and throwing jabs with lemon lime gloves on. I love that. That's lemon lime's glove. Which wine recently delivered that 1-2 combination for you? Was it a Riesling or some other type of wine?
For sure there could be, but I think recently I was pouring some spring whites for an account, and we had a Chocolina from the Basque Country, Spain. And that's like, it's almost like a seltzer, like a lemon lime seltzer. It's like that light and effervescent and just citrus heavy.
Now, you warn readers off the word or adjective smooth because it's been overused into meaninglessness. What word do you wish drinkers would use more instead?
My beef with smooth is more just using it as a standalone word. Okay, so I would guess that you want a wine that's not tannic, easy to drink. Okay, but like what else? If you're talking to somebody in a shop and you say, I want a smooth wine, like maybe give me a price point. Tell me about the occasion that you're going for. What's the situation that we're going to be drinking in? What food are you pairing it with? Do you want something that's juicy or maybe more earthy? And I think smooth is just
Sure.
too broad.
Yeah, no, it's true. And now I love this. You describe tannins as clinging to your palate like a desperately codependent ex. That is great. Tannins, of course, create that astringency, that mouth-drying feeling like oversteeped tea or eating walnuts. Was there a specific bottle that really gripped at you like a desperately codependent ex?
Definitely the first. The times I've gone to a tasting where there's a bunch of Barolos, like really do it for you, or even like a Mourvedre, like a beds-based red, so like Bandol red, where it's just like, ooh, this is like grippy, like that X, or chewy, like it's like in your mouth and you gotta do something to release its grip.
Yeah, it's true. Now, the difference between lean and thin trips up a lot of people. Maybe give us a side-by-side comparison of a thin versus a lean wine.
Lean is more like that laser-like wine. Lean feels like it's, again, like direct on your palate. It's not it's not like filling your whole mouth. It just is more direct. Whereas thin, I think of as more of a flaw in the wine, or a fault, correct, where it's like, it just feels like it's supposed to have substance and it doesn't. It feels just like it's watered down. Or it's like its personality is just tempered. But
That's
they do
true.
sound, if you were just reading the words as regular words, they sound very similar. They could be describing something very similar in there.
They do. Now, I love this. You frame wine personalities the way the Sex and the City women framed friendship. So what's the wine in your cellar or at the restaurant that's pure Sarah Jessica Parker embodies her?
In my cellar, I actually have a wine from the Finger Lakes. So Carrie, ultimate New York girly. So I think that would be a good representation for her. And it is a co-ferment of Gewurz and Pinot Noir. And it was like fermented in a concrete egg, all this cool stuff. So it's like,
wow.
A little funky, a little different, very much its own person, but still very stylish and cool.
That's great. Now you call glau glau, that's the French onomatopoeic word for the sound of wine being poured. So cooler than the word crushable. Why is that?
Oh, I think for that, I was just saying cooler because it's French. Just,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yes.
that using a French term makes you sound a little bit fancier. And definitely, if you're in any kind of like natural wine bar or shop, use that word, or you will hear it used around you, and you'll fit right in.
Glau glau. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Glau
I would
glau?
say glue would be
Glue glue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glue glue. I
Oh,
think
right. I do want to be part of the cool kids, so I do know, I have to know how to pronounce it. Glue glue. What is she saying? Glau glau. Glue glue. Okay. And then we have porch pounder. So how would that be different from crushable and glue glue?
I mean, it's kind of splitting hairs. I think you could probably use them interchangeably. I think porch pounder is more. I think the way I talk about it in the book is more just like it's a wine. It's great. It's really easy to drink, but you're not really focusing on the wine. It's just a wine that drinks easily. So like any Pinot Grigio on a 95-degree day, rosé on the patio with your girlfriends. That's what I think of more as a porch pounder. Whereas glue glue, like you could apply that probably to more serious wines.
Okay.
But
okay. Good to know the distinctions here. Yeah. And then I've heard the word sessionable. I guess you just have it in one go. Sessionable.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, sessionable is definitely in that same wheelhouse.
Now, you describe hedonistic wines as having Roman Empire energy. What does that mean? Are they at the height of their powers and about to come apart? Or what's going on with those?
I think, to be honest, a little bit I had the idea of the drawing that I wanted to do for that. But of just this Roman symposium, we're drinking, we're enjoying the land, enjoying each other kind of debaucherous setting. And basically hedonistic is just a wine that is over the top, opulent, excessive. I got to go to a lunch hosted by Chateau d'Yquem, and it was like 5 different courses of Chateau d'Yquem Sauterne, and you're like, okay, this is extra. I'm not mad at it, but this is a lot.
That's good. Yeah, I can see very Roman Empire. Yeah, definitely the days before the fall when excess was the key word. Now, I love this. You say cork taint is the Joker to wine's Batman. What does that mean for you?
Oh, it was just I think again like an easier maybe pop culture reference of just it's one of wine's most well-known kind of foes. The fault that the foil or whatever that you encounter probably most commonly in wine.
It's true. Yeah. And Brettanomyces, also sometimes considered a fault, also desired by some people, you write, can smell like a wine raised in a horse barn, rolling around in manure hay and sidling up to sweaty saddles, which is great. I love that. Are you pro or against Brett? The cool kids call it Brett.
I'm pro. I'm pro within reason. I'm not gonna just because something's really outlandish or more extreme, I'm not gonna say, oh, that's amazing. It's like, if it feels like that's the only thing that's really that wine is giving you, where it's like you're not noticing anything else, that for me can border into territory where that feels one note. That's not as exciting. But certainly with the right little bit, it can definitely add like a very pleasant funk.
Yeah. And reduction, you say at its worst, smells like rotten eggs and garbage and burned rubber peeling off in the getaway car. Can those wines be saved with aerating them and decanting them?
Yeah, it certainly can help. Just to give it like, if it's like a younger wine, you're not trying to like decant for sediment, just toss it in the decanter and give it a hard decant and just kind of just go to like a good, essentially like a shaking, waking up kind of thing. Sure. I'd say it's always worth trying. That's the thing with that kind of decanting things with like condition of wine, like when do I drink this bottle at what age? It's like there's a lot of gray, there's not a lot of black and white, and you have to get comfortable with experimenting, and I think that's important too.
Yeah. Now you write that the 1980s, quote, called and want their Chardonnay description back, and that we were conditioned like Pavlov's dogs to expect butter from this grape. So how do you change a Chardonnay's hater's mind? There's that whole thing, ABC, anything but Chardonnay, because it got so popular, so buttery, and so fruit bomby or whatever. How do you talk to someone who say, oh, no, I don't drink Chardonnay?
I mean, I think my go-to has always been to pour something like a Chablis. It's
from northern France, which is Chardonnay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's not oaked.
Yeah, it's a lean, very mineral-driven kind of expression of Chardonnay usually, and It's the opposite of if you have in your mind the classic California like oaky butter bomb. It's a great, no, but this is Chardonnay too. Or you could do something from like Alto Adige, which they do Chardonnays as well. There's other great examples. A Chardonnay from the Jura could be a cool one too. Just like, see, it's because the grape itself is neutral. Yeah. It's really just taking on what it's given. There are other expressions of it for sure.
Yeah. Now, your pairing chapter argues red wine with fish isn't a crime. What's the dish and bottle combination that would convert the most stubborn adherent to not doing that combination?
I think like the classic example is probably something like a Pinot Noir with a salmon.
Why does it work?
You have a wine that's higher in acidity, not very tannic, and the fish is a little bit fattier, so that combination can be really nice as well. And the wine has some really lovely earthier notes to it, but also some great like pinky, like red fruit notes. I think it can just really, really work well together.
Cool. Now you suggest decanting champagne, which some drinkers would find heretical. What's the bottle of bubbles you decant without apology? Are there certain bottles you decant and not others? Would it champagne or other sparkling wines? I mean, how do you decide?
I think it's not something I would do often, but I certainly think it's fun to see probably more with an aged champagne. I wouldn't do a Prosecco just a generic kind of Prosecco because those lose their bubbles more quickly anyways. But yeah, like a serious like vintage champagne, it could be cool to see what that's like with some decantation. Actually, the boss that had that Moroccan whorehouse tasting note, one of the best things she ever taught me was to kind of let champagne go flat and taste the base wine because the bubbles can be distracting. They're lovely, but they can be distracting in a good way. And so it can be easier to hide like a base wine that has some potential like problems with it. Not problems, but isn't as great.
It's not as strong.
So if you want to drink a champagne when it's flat and that wine is still good, that's a sign of a good champagne, was her theory. And I've always loved that.
That's an interesting take. I love that. All right. Just some quick questions. In the Museum of Maryse Chevriere, which 3 objects would be on the central display?
Oh, not an object, but my daughter. My daughter.
Sure. This is what I created and I'm most proud of.
Yeah, a fresh mom here.
She's only 7 months?
7 months, yeah.
Is she? Oh my
so new
goodness.
Little lady, freshly discovering food, who is, I think, going to be an asset hound because she's already sucking on lemons and limes, which I'm very proud of.
Wow, that's unusual.
It really is.
Good for her. She'll have a wide-ranging palate then for a baby to have that.
So strange.
No, it's great.
Sweet cheesy. My wedding ring. My husband is my best friend, biggest supporter next to me. And then my James Beard. Honestly, that is my biggest
that's pretty prestigious, that award.
And it was for humor too, which was so cool. It wasn't even a wine award. It's a category that doesn't exist anymore.
Wow. Do you know why they took it away? That sounds like a great category to have. I don't know,
but it was just such the whole point of what I try to do, which is just make wine fun and accessible and not feel snobby. And so to have that kind of all come together in that way was a really proud moment.
That's fantastic. Now, tell us about your favorite childhood food and what you pair with it today as an adult who loves wine.
Not to make me sound bougie, but did love a lobster roll. Still love a lobster roll. I probably would do some champagne with that, or my mom's carbonara. We had a vermentino that was actually really juicy and had like some really nice kind of lush fruity notes to it. And I love like a salty and sweet combination. Or salty and fruity. I'm doing my own fault here with saying sweet when it's not actually sweet, but something that's like fruity and salty is a great combo.
That sounds great. And if you could share a bottle of wine with anyone outside the wine world, living or dead, who would that be?
Oh, Nina Simone, because I just love her music and I just think she's the coolest.
Yeah.
But if I was being honest, it would be Andy Cohen. He runs a channel Bravo, and it's a big reality
what does he do
TV
on Channel Bravo?
Basically, and it's my escapism. And so I would just apply him with a 17% Priorat to get all the gossip, all the dumb shows.
The behind the scenes. Oh, that's real.
That's
great.
What I'd actually do.
I love that. And if you could put up a billboard in downtown Boston, what would it say?
Aside from buy my book,
yes.
I think it would be Boston is a wonderful food scene. It has great talent here, but A lot of the restaurants are so heavily either seafood or Italian. So I would want a billboard that says support and encourage people to eat outside of that box. But
Okay.
I would really
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. And if a listener walks away from this conversation remembering only 3 things today, it could be from what we've talked about or other things that you want to mention now. What 3 things would those be?
I think one, really importantly, don't let the fear of sounding stupid stop you from participating or having an opinion or having a voice. That's in life, but also with wine. I think push yourself to drink outside of the box. Don't just stick to the same grapes, the same regions, same producers. Try a grape you like from a different region. The more you drink, the more you know, the more fun you have. And then I think the other one would be, and this is not, hopefully this doesn't come across in a snobby way, but drink with, if you can, or talk about wine with people who know more than you do. Because
Sure, that's like life too, up your game.
Yeah, you'll really just get some more out of it. So if you are at a place that has a wine pairing and you can go for it, then you'll understand that person's philosophies to pairings. If you can go to your wine shop and they have a producer or a rep there that can talk to you about the wines in a more exciting way than just like the card on the shelf, that to me is the way to like really get into it.
That's great. Excellent advice. As we wrap up our conversation, Maryse, is there anything you want to mention before we do?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I feel like we covered a good amount here.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it was.
Now, we will be publishing this podcast episode and the video after your book is published. It's July 14th is
That's
your pub
right.
date,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, so if you're listening, watching this now, Maryse's book is available, so go buy it. Either, I'm assuming, online, in bookstores, wherever books are sold.
Pre-order. You can go to the Simon & Schuster website and find it, but it's on all the big websites. But of course, if there are local bookstores that you want to support, please do that.
Yes, absolutely. Maryse, this has been fantastic. I love, again, your creativity, your answers, your whimsical drawings, which I hope people will go and buy the book and see for themselves. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I appreciate it.
All right, cheers. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed our chat with Maryse. Here are my takeaways. Number 1, what's the difference between a thin wine and a lean one? Maryse explains lean is like a laser-like focused wine. It's direct on your palate. It's not filling your whole mouth. It's just very direct. Whereas she thinks of thin as more of a flaw in wine. It just feels like it's supposed to have substance, and it doesn't. It feels watered down or tastes watered down. Although the 2 terms sound similar, they really are used very differently in the wine world. Number 2, why is asking for a smooth wine one of the least helpful ways you can describe what you actually want? Her beef with it, Maryse says, is that people often use it as a standalone word, and it's really hard to guess what that means other than, okay, it's not tannic, it's easy to drink, but what else? Maybe give your sommelier or the liquor store staff a price point, or the occasion the wine is for, or maybe the food pairing. And maybe a couple of other descriptors like maybe juicy, earthy, whatever. And number 3, what's the fastest way to learn about wine without feeling intimidated? Maryse emphasizes not to let the fear of sounding stupid to stop you from participating in learning about wine or asking questions or having a voice. That's in life too, but also in wine, which of course is a microcosm for life. So push yourself to drink outside the box. Don't just stick to the same grapes, regions, and producers. The more you drink, the more you know, and the more fun you'll have. Of course, all in moderation. Also, try to talk about wine with people who know more than you do. If you're at a restaurant that offers wine pairings, go for it. Talk to the sommelier about the pairings. Similarly, chat up the staff in your wine shop. They really are passionate often and want to share their knowledge. If you missed episode 139, go back and take a listen. I chat about wine scores, pairings, and writing with Master of Wine Vanessa Conlon. I'll share a short clip with you now to whet your appetite. Give them something they understand, a score, because we know that. And at first I resisted, but then I came over to his way of thinking because that's the way I feel I can be of greatest service. And that's why I score wines in addition to those, I hope, elegant extra tasting notes.
How would you recommend someone is trying to figure out which critic to align with or who to listen to? How should a consumer make that decision?
I think it's finding someone whose palate lines up with yours. Also, someone who can guide you a little bit further, take you out of your comfort zone. I think it comes down to palate taste, but it can also be a preference for personality. We like the way they write about wine, or they make it interesting or fun. And there's just so much out there these days with the internet and social media and videos and everything else. I think there's a critic for everyone. These days, everyone is a critic, but there's so many ways to be guided. I think that's an easy choice these days. You won't want to miss next week when we chat with Master of Wine Elizabeth Gabet and her son Ben Bernheim, who have co-authored Rosés of Southern France, and they'll join us from Liz's home in Provence. Do you know someone who'd be interested in learning more about how to sound wine smart? Please let them know about this podcast. Email or text them now while you're thinking about it. It's really easy to find the Unreserved Wine Talk podcast. Just tell them to search for that title or my name, Natalie McLean Wine, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, their favorite podcast app, or they can listen to the show on my website at nataliemclean.com/podcast. Email me if you have a sip tip question or would like to win one of 7 drinks books I have to give away. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on this episode. I'm at natalie@nataliemclean.com. In the show notes, you'll find a link to take a free online food and wine pairing class with me called The 5 Wine and Food Pairing Mistakes That Can Ruin Your Dinner Forever and How to Fix Them Forever at nataliemclean.com/class. And that is everything in the show notes at nataliemclean.com/404. Thank you for taking the time to join me here. I hope something great is in your glass this week. Perhaps a smooth, lean, juicy, medium-bodied, bright, vivacious wine that pairs well with whatever you're eating.
You don't want to miss one juicy episode of this podcast, especially the secret, full-bodied bonus episodes that I don't announce on social media. So, subscribe for free now at nataliemclean.com/subscribe. Meet me here next week. Cheers.